Exposed. 6 spine-chilling Craigslist encounters that left me haunted by sinister secrets one night. As Claire scrolled through her Craigslist listings, a chill swept over her. Darkness thickened outside her Ohio home, and her heart raced. She was just a single mother trying to sell old toys and furniture, but something sinister lurked beneath the surface. With bills piling high, desperation clung to her like a shroud. The quiet suburb was serene, but that serenity felt suffocating, like a sinister smile hiding teeth. It started innocently enough. Mr. Thompson, the neighbor she had exchanged friendly waves with, began commenting on her posts. "Nice toys! I believe Emma loves her pink unicorn," he wrote, as if peering right through her window. How did he know Emma's favorite color? How did he even know she had a pink unicorn? The neighborhood, once a safe wrapper around her and her kids, now felt like a trap, tightening with each click of her mouse. "Just ignore it," she whispered to herself. Kids had vivid imaginations, right? But when Noah and Emma woke in the night, screams bouncing off their walls, Claire's denial cracked. "Mommy, there's someone outside," they yelled, their voices pure terror. She held them close, feeling their small hearts thunder against her chest. The wind howled a warning, and shadows danced along the hallway, igniting the room in fear. In the following days, she discovered rearranged kitchen chairs, and where her children's joyful drawings once adorned the fridge, tattered pieces littered the floor like fallen dreams. Pushing aside their imagination didn't work anymore. It felt like a web closing around them. When she dialed local authorities, frustration clawed at her. "Without proof, there's nothing we can do," the dispatcher said, their apathetic voice echoing her fears. She felt trapped. With mounting urgency, Claire crafted a bait post on Craigslist, twisting it to draw any lurking predators out of the shadows. "Selling old toys, come and take a look," she typed, her hands trembling. It was reckless, but she had to know. Fortune does favor the bold, after all. Then, a message appeared from a seemingly reputable buyer, a local teacher excited about a vintage toy set. Her gut twisted, alarm bells ringing loud. Further digging revealed tales that made her blood run cold. He was linked to disappearances that haunted their town. She shivered, recalling Mr. Thompson's curious glances, his friendly smile morphing into a sinister grin. "Before we continue, I need to tell you something important that's happening. YouTube has been making changes to their system, and many people are missing notifications from channels they follow. If you're enjoying the content, click the bell and select all notifications so you don't miss future videos. And if you can leave a like, it really helps me with reach. Seriously, it makes a difference. Oh, tell me in the comments where you're watching from. I'm always curious to know who's on the other side of the screen." Now let's continue. Staring into her living room, the familiar space now felt foreign, suffocating. Claire prepared to confront Mr. Thompson, armed with desperation and a heart full of dread. But uncovering a hidden diary among the toys changed everything. The scribbled pages chronicled secrets of previous neighbors, intertwining their stories with dark truths. With trembling hands, she realized it was not merely her life at stake. It was the safety of her children that hung in the balance. The door creaked open, shadows thickening around her. A soft whisper tickled her ears like a warning. "They're watching," it breathed. Claire's heart raced, pulsating like a drum, while every instinct screamed to run. She had stepped right into the nightmare, but the true horror of it all loomed. What if the monsters weren't just outside her home, but had been living right beside her all along? The whisper lingered in the air, a ghostly echo that sent ice-cold fingers crawling down Claire's spine. She felt the pit of her stomach twist into a knot as she strained to listen, praying it was just her imagination playing tricks. But deep down, part of her already knew the truth. "Mommy? What's wrong?" Emma's soft voice broke the stifling silence. Claire turned, forcing a smile that felt rigid and fake. Her daughter stood in the doorway, messy hair framed around her cherubic face, wide blue eyes filled with concern. Noah clutched his blanket, peeking out from behind her. "Nothing, sweetie. Just a little tired." But her voice shook, betraying her. The tinny laugh echoed in her mind, a sinister replay of Mr. Thompson's jovial demeanor. now steeped in menace. It had started with small comments, but what if he knew something? Something worse than mere words. She couldn't sit by anymore. The thought of Emma and Noah exposed to whatever nightmare lurked outside twisted in her chest, like a vice tightening around her heart. She had to confront him, had to push back against the darkness that surrounded them. Claire grabbed her phone, her fingers trembling as she messaged Mr. Thompson, arranging a meeting in the park nearby, where the sunlight fought to penetrate the gloom. Her legs felt heavy as she prepared to step outside, fear weighing down her every footfall. The chill of the evening air nipped at her skin, encouraging her to turn back. But no. She couldn't give in. A mother's courage ignited her. Walking toward the park, Claire felt the suffocating fear lift ever so slightly. Streets appeared normal, neighbors walked their dogs, children rode bikes. It felt like a false sense of peace, a thin veneer covering the hideous reality below. She arrived at the park, every sound exacerbated, amplified. Birds chirped, and leaves rustled, but it was as if the world had become a chorus of warnings. Claire's heart thundered in her ears, each beat a reminder that she had invited danger into her life. From a distance, she spotted Mr. Thompson sitting on a bench under a drooping tree, shadows clinging to him like a dark cloak. His smile, once friendly, twisted into something far more unsettling when he saw her. "Hey there, Claire!" he called cheerfully, his voice grating. "Hi, Mr. Thompson. Thanks for coming." She approached, feigning confidence as she sat opposite him, forcing herself to meet his eyes. "What's bothering you?" he asked, the smile slipping just a fraction. The air thickened with tension, as if the park itself were holding its breath. "I've been feeling uneasy. With everything going on, you know?" He chuckled, a low, oily sound. "Children can have such wild imaginations." "Yes, but it isn't just them. I have my reasons." As she spoke, an idea slithered through her mind. What if she could catch him off guard, make him reveal himself? Claire leaned in closer, her voice a mere whisper. "You've been watching us, haven't you?" His eyes narrowed briefly, a flicker of something unrecognizable flashing across his face before it was smoothed over with that daggers of a smile. "You must be paranoid, Claire. I'm just a friendly neighbor trying to help." But what she sensed was no longer just help. The veil was lifting, but she feared what lay beyond in the light. Before she could press further, a rustling sound pierced through the park, sending icy chills racing up her spine. Was it just the wind? Or was it the sound of something or someone approaching? Mr. Thompson's smile vanished as he turned his head sharply, as if sensing the danger too. What was that? As Claire's heart raced, dread clung to her like a second skin. She could feel it then, a presence lurking. It was watching. Waiting. "Mommy, I'm scared." Noah's voice rang out, cutting through the tension like a knife. And as Claire looked back at her children, standing still as statues, she realized she was not alone in this fight. But who lurked in the darkness, and could she shield them from the inevitable? Suddenly, the shadows shifted behind Mr. Thompson, twisting and growing. Claire felt her stomach drop as something very much like a form began to emerge. "Get away from them!" she screamed, terror electrifying through her veins. But the question hung heavily in the air: what was truly behind Mr. Thompson's facade? And would the truth tear apart her entire world? As the figure stepped into view, Claire's breath hitched. The eyes were familiar, and the chill of recognition slammed into her gut, etching fear into her skin. Who had she really invited into her life? And what did they want from her family? The darkness around them thickened, closing in once more. The figure stepped fully into the light, revealing a face that made Claire's blood run cold. It was a twisted image of her own, a mirror of distress that sent shockwaves through her. It had the same wide blue eyes as Emma, but they were empty. Hollow. "Mommy, who's that?" Emma's voice whimpered, clutching Noah tighter. Claire's throat felt like sandpaper. I don't know, sweetheart." Her heart raced, each beat a countdown to terror. The uncanny doppelganger before her wore a distorted smile, pulling at Claire's deepest fears, every line on its face a reminder of everything she wanted to protect. What are you doing here? She managed to choke out, forcing her gaze from the empty eyes to Mr. Thompson, who now stood frozen in place, a predatory gleam in his eyes. I thought you might appreciate a family reunion, the copycat whispered, its voice a chilling mocking of her own. It stepped closer, the shadows tilting around it like the embrace of the night, creeping ever closer toward her children. No! Claire yelled, one instinct driving her. She jumped up, putting herself between the children and that wretched creature. Mommy, please! Noah clutched at her leg. I want to go home. Not yet! Claire shouted, her resolve solidifying. She wouldn't let fear consume her, wouldn't waver in the face of this horror. The doppelganger chuckled, a sound like shattering glass. You really think you can protect them? They're already marked. Just like you. Marked? The word hung in the air like a blade above her family. Dread coiled in her gut, twisting tight. The park seemed to shift around them, trees leaning closer as if to block out their escape. The shadows danced, swirling with anticipation. Mr. Thompson stepped back, his smile returning but twisted. This was a mistake, Claire. You shouldn't have come here. There was something sinister in his tone, an undercurrent of threat that made her skin prickle. Panic surged. Should she run? Fight? The children needed her. Leave us alone! She yelled. The copycat tilted its head, a movement so eerily human it took Claire aback. You think you know who he is? You think you're safe? It reached out, fingers extending like black vines, stretching toward Emma and Noah. No! Claire lunged, grabbing onto her kids and tugging them back. They tumbled to the grass, just out of reach. Where could they go? But as she looked back up, the park had changed. The laughter of children turned into whispers. The trees, once mere foliage, now loomed like sentinels. Everything felt alive, watching, waiting. A flash of movement caught her eye. A dark figure, cloaked and on the edge of the park, stared. It felt dangerously familiar. Her heart raced anew. She pushed herself to her feet, wrapping her arms around Emma and Noah. Stay close, she hissed. Every sound was amplified. Footsteps echoed eerily in the silence that fell abruptly, broken only by the rustle of leaves. Shadows shifted, thickening around her as if something waited. Claire, Mr. Thompson's voice sliced through the tension. You can't run from what you've brought with you. What did he mean? She felt a sudden coldness settle in her chest. The darkness, the twists of shadow creeping ever closer, it was after them. And then she saw it, an outline forming behind the trees, more tangible like a beast awakening from slumber. Claire's eyes widened. We have to go. She turned to run, panic electrifying her limbs. But as she did, the shadows lunged forward, merging into one swirling mass around Mr. Thompson. Everything moved in slow motion. The echo of dark laughter reverberated. They were trapped. Mommy! Noah screamed, the world spiraling around her, and the sinister laughter echoed, reverberating in her mind, taunting her. What did he want? What had she unleashed? As they raced away, she felt a clawing notion claw deeper in her mind. What had she truly invited into her life? The question clawed at her sanity, gripping her like the cold wind against her skin. And as she fled with Emma and Noah, she could sense the shadows were merely the beginning. What needed to be stopped was far worse than that which lurked in the dark. The nightmare was far from over. The ground trembled as Claire urged Emma and Noah forward, her heart pounding in rhythm with their frantic footsteps. The shadows twisted, spilling into the void where warmth once lingered. Trees seemed to close ranks, their branches clawing toward her, like the outstretched hands of phantoms hungry for something more than just blood. Mommy, what is happening? Emma squeaked, tears streaking down her cheeks. Keep running. Don't look back. Claire shouted, fear burrowing deep into her bones. Every instinct screamed at her to protect her children, but it felt as if the very air around them was charged with a malevolence that could swallow them whole. Behind them, the doppelganger-esque laughter rang out like a funeral bell, its tone filled with unholy delight, echoing through the park. You think you can escape me? I am you, Claire. Every darkness you ever buried. You can't outrun your own reflection. Claire felt a chill skitter down her spine as the creature's voice intertwined with her thoughts, gnawing at her sanity. The echoes of her own fears surged like a tidal wave, threatening to drown her in despair. It knew her. It knew the secrets she had kept, the regrets she had never faced. Faster! She urged, and the trio lurched forward, but the shadows coiled around them, tightening like a serpent's grip. Out of the corner of her eye, Claire saw the cloaked figure again. It stood still, watching. She recognized the silhouette all too well now. It mirrored her own anguish. Was that shame lurking behind its dark veil? What was this figure? What did it want from her? Who are you? She growled, forcing a moment of defiance as she met its unyielding gaze. The figure tilted its head slightly, but no answer came. Instead, it reached out, the contours of its hand dissolving into an inky blackness. Claire felt something inside her shudder, a vague connection thrumming just beneath her skin, pulling at something she dared not confront. In that instant, a wave of memories rushed back. A time when she was carefree, when laughter drowned out the darkness. But the image cracked. Each jolt of nostalgia was layered with a pain she thought she had locked away. Names, faces, loved ones lost to the whispers of the past flooded her senses, each haunting her more than the darkness gathering around her. "Mommy, please!" Noah cried, pulling at her pant leg, drawing her back to the present moment. "Stay close," she repeated, panic sharpening her words, feeling urgency claw at her throat. They had to find safety. Suddenly, somewhere deep in the forest, a sound broke sharp and shattering. Like glass fracturing into 1,000 shards, it made Claire's heart clench. The ground beneath her feet seemed to tremble harder, and the bushes rustled violently. It was almost as if something, or someone, was waking from slumber, drawn by the chaos unfolding. "Claire! It knows where we are!" Emma whimpered, gazing behind them, her eyes wide with fear. "Don't look!" Claire shouted, but the shadows were relentless, stretching long fingers toward them like starving wolves. With a fierce resolve, Claire dashed toward the park's exit, adrenaline propelling her. But each stride felt heavier, the laughter grew louder behind them, echoing mockingly. Each twist of her body sent pain spiking through her muscles, and the memories clawed for dominance. Then she caught sight of the exit, a glimmer of hope against the encroaching tide. "Almost there. We can make it!" But as she sprinted toward the light, the wall of shadows lurched forward, blocking their path, swirling together in a writhing mass. "Let us through!" Claire screamed, desperation coloring her voice. The shadows pulsed, and the doppelganger's laughter morphed into a furious cacophony, resonating with Claire's fear. "What will you sacrifice to truly save them, Claire?" The voice taunted, echoing through the chaos. Her breath caught in her throat as she realized the truth. The only way to stop the approaching nightmare might come at a price she had never considered. As she felt the shadows thicken around her, she understood then. She needed to face the ugliest part of herself to break free. But could she do it without losing her children in the process? The park loomed, the nightmare thickening at their heels. What would she have to confront next? A chilling silence followed, thick with the weight of an unspeakable choice. Claire stood at the precipice of darkness, her heart hammering with fear and determination. "Enough!" she screamed. "I will not let you take them!" The shadows surged forward, but Claire was ready to fight. Yet before she could strike, the cloaked figure stepped forward, and with a flicker of recognition, she realized it was not an enemy. "Help us," Claire whispered, feeling the weight of fate bearing down upon her. And as the dark laughter swirled, a new layer of horror began to unfold. What choice would Claire make now? Would there be any way to save her children and herself from the darkness closing in? Claire's gaze darted between the mass of shadows and the cloaked figure. A wave of recognition hit her hard, crashing against her defenses but igniting a bitter spark of hope. "You can help?" she stammered, struggling to keep her voice from trembling. The figure's silhouette softened in the dim light, but its features remained obscured. It nodded, a slow, deliberate motion, like the turning of a clock hand approaching midnight. "To face the darkness, you must first face yourself," it whispered, the voice as haunting as a distant echo. As the shadows surged toward them, hungrily consuming the park, Claire felt the weight of decision pressing down on her. Time was slipping away, the laughter of her doppelganger was a relentless storm, closing in, suffocating all in its wake. "Mommy, I'm scared!" Emma shrieked, her voice breaking through the suffocating tension. "Stay close!" Claire shouted, her heart racing. She stepped toward the figure. "What do I need to do?" "I'm ready." "Are you?" it replied, tilting its head again. An eerie calm settled in its tone, poking at her deepest fears. The figure raised a hand, and Claire felt a pull, as if the shadows recognized their own. "You must confront the source of your pain. Only then can the shadows release their grasp." Around them, the writhing blackness stirred with heightened energy as if railed by her declaration. Claire's breath came shallow, her heart drumming a frantic beat of centuries-old regret. "My pain, it's too much to bear. Face it, and you will either be freed or forever trapped," it said, a cryptic warning hanging in the air. Noah's small hand gripped Claire's leg tighter, his eyes wide and terrified, mirroring her own fear. Could she truly dive into those depths without losing everything? The shadows screamed all around them, a cacophony of despair. The doppelganger's voice slipped into her mind once more, mocking, taunting. "You think you can save them, Claire? You don't even know what you've done." "No, I want to listen," Claire shouted, anger mingling with desperation. But deep down, the seeds of doubt took root. What had she done? How many choices led her to this moment? The shadows remained relentless, pressing closer. "Mommy!" Emma whimpered, squeezing her eyes shut, a wave of panic washing over both children. Taking a deep breath, Claire stepped toward the figure, determination mingled with fear. "I choose to face it." With that proclamation, a blinding light erupted from the figure, illuminating the park momentarily. The shadows hesitated, pulling back as if scalded by the radiance. Claire squinted, shielding her eyes. "What do I need to see?" The ground trembled again, but this time it felt different, like a deeper rumble that shook the very earth. Visions began to swirl around her, memories brushing her mind's eye, lost love, the life she once lived, the faces of those she couldn't save. A cruel story played out, words rending her heart, a family estranged, a love forsaken, shadows of guilt creeping in like tendrils of smoke. "Remember," the figure urged, its voice penetrating the chaos. "Each loss carries its own darkness. Only by acknowledging the past can you drive away the shadows." Tears welled in Claire's eyes as ghosts from her past beckoned. "I'm sorry!" she cried, a sob escaping her lips. "I should have been there. I should have told you." The shadows thrummed with energy, circling tighter as her grief swelled. With each tear that fell, memories cut deeper, stitching her guilt into the tapestry of her existence. The laughter spiraled again, louder this time, drowning out her cries. "Make it stop," Claire pleaded, aware that the darkness was hunting for her next weakness. The cloaked figure stepped closer, extending its hand toward her in silent promise. "You have the power to change this, but you must break the ties that bind you to the past." In that moment of choice, Claire realized she had to sever the chains of regret. Power surged through her veins as she summoned every ounce of strength. "I'm not afraid anymore. I will face it," she roared, with a newfound defiance. The shadows recoiled, snapping like fraying ropes. Claire pressed forward, ready to confront every dark whisper caught in the recesses of her heart. But just as she stood on the brink of absolute confrontation, the ground shook violently, sending Emma and Noah reeling into her arms. A piercing shriek filled the air, the doppelganger's laughter twisting subtly, the very fabric of reality bending. "Mommy!" Noah cried, staring into the abyss. "It's not over!" The figure wavered, its form splitting as ominous shapes leaped from the shadows. What had Claire unleashed in the dark? Would she stand a chance against the horrors that awaited, or would the shadows swallow them all whole? The darkness writhed like a living thing, and behind it, new forms emerged. Claire's heart pounded as reality distorted around her. The shadows twisted into figures, elongated and grotesque, reminiscent of those she couldn't quite grasp. Each one was a distorted echo of her demons, spiraling closer, whispering her deepest regrets. "Claire!" one figure hissed, its voice a chilling mimicry. "Remember me?" The sound clawed at her senses, dredging up long-buried memories clawing to the surface. "No!" she cried, backing away. Emma and Noah pressed against her, their tiny bodies trembling. The shadows seemed to relish their fear, growing bolder. "You can't escape what you've done!" The doppelganger's voice vibrated through the air, its laughter mingling with the other voices, creating a ghastly symphony. Claire squeezed her eyes shut, trying to shut out the cacophony, but it only grew louder, drowning her in a tide of despair. "Face it, Mommy!" Emma whispered, her voice strained. "You said you'd be brave." Claire's eyes flew open. She had to do it. Not just for her, but for her kids. "I will not let you consume me!" she shouted, drawing strength from their presence. The cloaked figure remained beside her, its energy pulsing like a heartbeat. "Channel your pain. Make it your weapon," it urged, its voice steady amidst the chaos. Claire felt a spark ignite within her, a blend of sorrow, guilt, and a fierce determination. She took a step forward, forcing her breath to slow, turning to face the encroaching shadows. "Stop!" she commanded, her voice firm. "You have no power over me!" The shadows recoiled, as if stunned. The figures twisted and contorted, their faces morphing from recognizably twisted forms into haunting visages, her family, friends, each with a look of disappointment etched into their features. Claire had to face them. She had to confront each piercing gaze that reflected her failures. "Do you regret it?" one shadow asked mockingly, stepping forward with a cruel smile. "Do you wish you'd fought harder?" "I regret the choices I didn't make," she responded, the heat rising in her chest. "But I will not be defined by them." With those words, the memories surged forth, too vivid to ignore yet too powerful to suppress. Images of laughter and warmth flooded her mind, mingling with shades of sorrow. They twisted together, weaving an intricate pattern of her life. Each thread of regret was met with a flash of love, the time spent laughing by the fire, the games played in the backyard, the lessons learned. "Release it!" the figure encouraged, its own energy mixing with hers. "The shadows feed on your pain. Claim your strength." Claire inhaled deeply, and as she did, the shadows recoiled again, their hiss intensifying. She could feel the weight of her guilt, and she lifted it like a flame above her head, transforming it into light. "I acknowledge my past. It's mine to own, not yours to feed on." The light burst forth, pure and bright. It ripped through the shadows, illuminating the ghastly forms, causing their screams to echo through the park. Claire felt the darkness shatter, pieces of it scattering like ashes before a fierce wind. The laughter echoed less frequently now, replaced by scattered whispers of confusion. But then, through the remnants of darkness, a low growl surfaced, a reminder that they hadn't been defeated yet. "You think you can erase us?" the doppelganger hissed, its figure regenerating from the depths of the shadows, more powerful than before. "No! You're not real! You're a reflection of my fears!" Claire shouted. She clenched her fists, her heart racing. "Face your own reckoning." "Your reckoning hasn't even begun," it taunted, its eyes now ablaze with an unnatural fire. Behind her, Noah whimpered, while Emma squeezed her mother's hand tighter. Just when Claire thought she'd regained control, a deep rumble echoed beneath them, a warning that something worse was awakening beneath the surface. The ground trembled again, but this time it felt as if the very earth was quaking with resentment, as if the shadows had allies hidden just below. What dark truths lay in wait, ready to rise with a vengeance? Would Claire's newfound courage withstand the reckoning yet to come, or would it crumble before the expanding void? The darkness lurked closer, a smothering shroud pressing against Claire's resolve. The trembling ground beneath her feet thudded like a warning drum, sending ripples of fear coursing through her spine. The shadows writhed, an undulating mass that threatened to engulf what little light remained. Emma and Noah felt the shift in the air, their small breaths hitching in unison. The chill seeped into Claire's bones, and she clenched her jaw, desperate not to show weakness. Disappointment and anguish twisted in the air around her, taunting her with the weight of her past mistakes. "Brace yourself!" the cloaked figure shouted. "They're gathering strength." With that, Claire glanced around, releasing her grip on her children just enough to see the malevolent forms surge forward, their shapes flickering like candle flames caught in a storm. The doppelganger grinned, its twisted smile revealing impossibly sharp teeth. "You think you can take me on? You think any of this is over?" Its laughter echoed, a maniacal sound that crawled under her skin. Suddenly, a cacophony of shrieks erupted as dozens of shadowy figures emerged, each a reminder of her darkest moments. Faces haunted her people she once loved, their eyes filled with betrayal. Claire felt the weight of their gazes push her backward. "Get back! Stay close!" She shouted at Emma and Noah, but her voice wavered with uncertainty. The shadows pressed in, hungry for her fear, ready to consume her like a feast. "Mommy, the shadows!" Noah whimpered, clutching Emma tightly. Their innocence pricked at Claire's heart. She couldn't fail them, not now. She had fought too hard to be consumed by her past. "Together, we can beat them!" Claire shouted, turning toward her kids. "Just remember the light. Remember love!" In an attempt to rally her courage, she reached for the warmth of their memories. Laughter around the dinner table, bedtime stories filled with dreams, sunshine on their faces. Instead of being crushed by the shadows, she would let her love ignite a fire within her. The doppelganger's voice rose above the chaos. "Love? You think that's enough? Love can only hide the truth for so long." As the shadows surged closer, Claire felt the pulse of fear creep into her veins. With a strangled cry, she focused all her memories, the beautiful moments, and painfully raw regrets. They whirled into a vortex of light, a brilliant display against the encroaching darkness. Colors flashed behind her eyes, vivid and shifting, every moment amplifying her determination. "I won't let you define who I am!" Claire screamed, thrusting her hands into the abyss. "I am more than my mistakes. We are more than your whispers." The manifestation of her memories erupted into a blinding core of energy. It shattered the dark, slicing through the growing army of shadows. For an instant, the park transformed, bursting with ethereal light that painted the trees in brilliant hues. Screams echoed as shadows writhed and shrieked, recoiling from the brightness. But then, the ground shuddered, and Claire felt a wave of disorientation crash over her. The shadows reformed, angry and roaring as they regrouped. The doppelganger snarled, its body pulsating with dark energy. "Foolish woman! You cannot banish what resides in your own heart." The true essence of the nightmare was beginning to reveal itself, seeping through the fissures Claire had fought so hard to mend. The darkness split open like a wound, revealing what lay beneath, their voices growing loud like a chorus of condemned souls. "Everyone you've ever hurt, we are here!" they cried, their resonance sharper than any blade. Claire's heart raced as she felt the ground beneath her tremble again, this time with a purposeful intent. "What do you want from me?" she shouted, trying to stave off the waves of despair rising around her. "Your compassion is the key," they taunted, merging into a singular, horrifying silhouette, clawing at her sanity. As Claire struggled to hold on to the light she had harnessed, new fears unfurled before her, old shame transforming into a living entity that hungered for her acknowledgement. Could she confront the truth of who she had been, or would it pull her down again? The shadows laughed, echoing her racing thoughts, as the darkness continued to swirl, whispering promises of destruction. Would she find the strength to face the most terrifying parts of herself, or would the reckoning consume her entirely? The answer lay just beneath the surface, waiting for her to unveil it. The shadows felt like fingers, cold and clammy, brushing against Claire's skin. Her heart hammered in her chest, drowning out the echoes of laughter that twisted through the air like a dark melody. Each beat was a countdown, a reminder that time was slipping away, and with it, her hope. "Make them stop!" Emma cried, her small voice quivering, barely above a whisper. Noah clutched his sister's arm, eyes wide with terror as the shadows swirled, creating a monstrous cyclone of terrifying memories. Stay with me! Claire yelled, but every ounce of determination in her voice failed to penetrate the chilling darkness. Confusion reigned, and the grisly assembly of her past stretched out like a gaping maw, ready to swallow her and her children whole. The doppelganger-esque grin grew wider, a jagged rift of malevolence. You think light can extinguish us? We are what you've tried to bury. Your fears, your guilt, they thrive in the cracks of your soul. No! Claire's voice trembled. You don't own me. You're only a shadow, and shadows fear the light. But her words felt hollow, soaked in desperation. The glows she had summoned flickered wildly, struggling against the tidal wave of darkness that threatened to drag them all into an abyss of despair. The shrieks of the shadows grew in crescendo, morphing into distorted cries of the people she once failed, whispers of betrayal and anguish that clawed at her sanity. They surrounded her, a sea of anguish that crashed against the walls of her resolve. Memories surfaced, unbidden and raw. The faces of her children appeared, distorted as if viewed through a cracked mirror, their smiles now twisted in sorrow. "Mommy, help us!" they cried out, and Claire felt a physical pain in her chest, a heart-rending split that echoed through the chaos. "Enough!" Claire screamed, summoning every ounce of anger and fear into a single thought. "You want to take my children? I'll protect them!" It was a primal roar, a testament to her love igniting a flame that refused to be snuffed out. The vortex of light surged as she thrust her hands forward, channeling all her emotions into a radiant spear aimed at the core of its darkness. Light crackled and exploded, illuminating the park, bright enough to burn away the shadow's grasp. But it wasn't enough. They only shrieked louder, their discordant voices rising above the light, filling her with icy dread. "You can't escape your mistakes. You will face us. You will always face us." As the shadows moved like a tide of madness, swarming and grasping, Claire stumbled backward, scarcely able to find her footing. Emma and Noah were slipping, the tendrils of darkness seeking to pull them away. "Mom!" Noah wailed, his small body teetering at the edge of the light. "Mommy, don't let them take us!" "No!" The sharp pang of fear jolted through Claire, shocking her into persistence. She rushed toward her children, sweeping them into her arms with a fierce determination. Her heart raced, every second ticking like a countdown to devastation. The doppelganger flickered in and out of existence, its laughter mingling with the wails of the past. Claire could feel its presence creeping closer, nearly palpable, wrapping around her like a fog. Face your truth, Claire, become one with what you fear, only then will you find peace. In that moment, Claire realized the shadows were not just her past. They were reflections of everything she had avoided confronting. They were the whispers of every wrong turn, every shout that stung, every tear they had shed because of her decisions. To conquer them, she would have to embrace her pain, acknowledge the scars that marred her soul. "Get ready!" the cloaked figure roared, pulling Claire's attention. "You must be prepared to see what lies beneath the mask." The ground shook violently, and Claire's grip on her children tightened. She was standing on the precipice of a chilling revelation, the very foundation of her being threatened to crack apart. What if she thought, to save them, I have to delve into the darkness? The shadows surged toward her again, swirling like a tempest, each one clamoring for her surrender. "Listen to me!" Claire shouted, breathing hard against the suffocating weight. "This is not the end. I will stand for my children. I will not succumb." Suddenly, everything shifted. The air crackled, and the shadows paused, warily eyeing the intensity of her growing light. Could her anguish transform into strength? For the first time, she felt a spark of power igniting within her. But was it enough? And that lingering doubt echoed in the cavern of her mind. The shadows whispered, promising endless darkness and despair. The battle had only just begun. The moment hung in the balance, and all Claire could do was push forward into the unknown. What truths awaited her in the heart of the darkness? The answer threatened to tear them apart completely. The shadows seemed to pulse, alive and raging with a fury Claire had never anticipated. As she clutched Noah and Emma tighter, their small bodies trembling, she could feel the darkness trying to pry them apart. It dripped with malice, circling like vultures anticipating a feast. Her breath came in sharp gasps, each inhale filled with the musty scent of decay. Claire whispered the doppelganger, its voice serpentine, slithering into her ears. Do you think strength can save you? You only delay the inevitable. Each word was a dagger, stabbing into her resolve. She shuddered as memories cascaded like a film reel, unwinding the threads of her life, each failure manifesting as another shadow. Friends she'd abandoned, promises she'd broken, a web of regrets knitted so tightly around her heart that she feared it might burst. Mommy, please! Don't let them take us! Emma's cry ripped through Claire's panic, a plea woven in desperation. The shadows responded, surging forward, eager to claim their prize. No, not again! Claire howled, her heart racing. She had to shield them, but how? In that instant, she felt an eerily warm glow erupt within her, brighter than before, spreading like wildfire through her veins. The shadows recoiled momentarily, as if sensing that the power she possessed was not of this world. What if she thought, I can wield the darkness without being consumed? The fissures in her confidence began to mend, threads of courage intertwining with her fears. Claire squinted into the gaping maw of shadows, searching for a chink in their armor. The darkness hissed and writhed, a living entity, pulsating with its own heartbeat. Embrace us, Claire, let us guide you, it beckoned soothingly, tempting her with darkness as a shield. Your pain can be your salvation, let go. The twilight cocoon shimmered, thrilling and horrifying all at once. Yet, she was not ready to succumb. You lie! She roared, and her voice took on an unaccustomed edge, haunting yet full of strength. I will not become your vessel. In a surge, she thrust her hands outward, allowing the light she'd conjured to merge with her shadows. She felt an electric shock ripple through her body as a tempest of energy expanded around them. I will take what is mine, she vowed, eyes blazing. The assembled darkness shrieked, a cacophony of anguished cries spiraling into hysteria. They twisted and shrank back, scraping against one another like panicked animals cornered by a hunter. Prepare yourself! The doppelganger shrieked, its form becoming more defined, its jagged teeth glimmering dangerously. You think you can wield both light and dark? You will fail! Let us find out, Claire spat defiantly. With an explosion of power, she plunged into the vortex of shadows. There was no turning back. As chaos enveloped her, time warped, a whirl of memories flooded back, drawing her to each pivotal moment of her regret. The faces of those she lost, faces that once shimmered with joy, now morphed into grotesque masks of sorrow and anguish. Suddenly, Claire was no longer in the park but swept into a dim, oppressive room filled with the echoes of her past. She stood before a mirror, each shard reflecting the lives she'd touched, the lives she'd hurt. She was forcefully thrust into the heart of her lingering guilt, paralyzed under the weight of it. Face yourself! A voice echoed, as an apparition emerged, her twisted reflection smirking back at her, mocking her struggle. It was a distorted version of herself, blending joy and grief into one volatile concoction. Why fight it? It taunted. This is who you are. You can't escape your truths. No, you don't control me, Claire retorted, her throat burning with determination. But could she reconcile with the shadow of her past and save her children? The choices flooded her mind, every misstep clear now. The walls squeezed in close, as if the very air conspired against her. Will you let the darkness consume you? Or will you find your light? The doppelganger's voice hissed again, sharper, more menacing. Claire's pulse raced, the peril escalating in the air thick with dread. Would she crumble under her own weight, or could she rise, wielding both light and dark? As she stood on the edge of revelation, the shadows wafted forward, thickening and pressing against her skin. Time is running out, Claire chose quickly. What horrible truths awaited her on the other side of this battle? And could she truly balance the light and dark without breaking entirely? Claire's heart thumped wildly against her ribcage as she stood before her distorted self, trapped in a room where the air pulsed with tension. Each breath was heavy, like dragging the weight of her past through a thick fog of regret. Emma and Noah's voices echoed in her mind, their innocence and love piercing through the darkness that threatened to consume them all. "Mommy, please!" Emma's whisper hung in the air like an incantation, pulling Claire back from the brink. She realized this battle wasn't just against the shadows, it was a reckoning with herself. "No!" The words spilled from her lips, raw and fierce. "You don't control me!" Each syllable was like a lifeline cast into a stormy sea, an affirmation she needed to believe. With renewed resolve, Claire faced her reflection, steeling herself against the mocking laughter. "I see you. I see everything you represent," she shouted, her voice cutting through the oppressive silence. The figure before her flickered, its form wavering as if her words held power over its twisted existence. "I am both the pain and the strength that has come from it," she continued, her voice building with defiance. "I won't allow you to define who I am or who my children are." The doppelganger snarled, its distorted features twisting into a furious mask. "You think your strength can save them?" it roared, but Claire's heart, once overwhelmed with fear, now flared with an intense light. "I'm not running any more," she yelled, her blood roaring in her ears. "This ends now." In that moment, she turned to the dark mass swirling around her, her newfound light igniting a brilliant blaze of courage that pushed against the despair. As she thrust her hands forward, wrapping her essence around the shadows, she felt the warmth of memories flooding back, Emma's laughter, Noah's hugs, moments of joy and connection that served as both armor and weapon against the encroaching darkness. "I embrace all of you. My mistakes, my regrets, everything that makes me whole." The light surged from her and danced in the air like fireflies, illuminating the night, illuminating the very source of her fears. With every ounce of emotion, Claire expanded her light, and the shadows writhed and screamed, their malicious forms contorting under the onslaught. "You will not take my children! I will protect them!" The collapsing walls of the room began to fragment, shadows obliterated by the radiance of her courage. With a primal thrumming, Claire felt the dark and light intertwine within her, both melding into a powerful force that not only challenged the presence before her but also offered something profound. "Mommy!" Noah cried, his voice laced with fear and urgency. "Don't let them win!" Tears streamed down Claire's face as she conjured every joyful memory to counterbalance the dark. "I won, my loves. I fight for you." And with that determination, she felt the final crack of the enemy within her shatter, decimating the doppelganger's presence into shards of light and darkness all at once. As the oppressive weight lifted, Claire gasped, finding herself back in the park, standing amidst the remnants of the distorted shadows, now fading into nothingness. Emma and Noah rushed to her side, their small bodies trembling but alive in her embrace. With the darkness lifting, so too did the veil of fear that had clouded their lives. "Mommy, you did it!" Emma exclaimed, her wide eyes shimmering with relief and triumph. Noah clung to her waist, excitement bubbling through his tears, and Claire held them both close, weaving her fingers through their hair, cherishing their warmth. "I didn't do this alone," she whispered, feeling the lingering presence of the cloaked figure beside her. "I had to face my fears, but I realized now that love was always my greatest weapon." The figure shimmered, nodding in acknowledgement before melding into the light as the park transformed around them a vibrant, safe space where the shadows no longer held sway. Together they walked toward home, the sunlight dancing on their faces. Victory and healing flooded Claire's heart. She glanced down at her children, who were blissfully unaware of the horrors they had escaped. Instead, they laughed and played, their laughter filling the air like melody, sweet and untainted. "Mommy," Noah asked, tilting his head, "are the shadows really gone?" Claire smiled, her heart light. "For now, yes. And as long as we stand together, there will always be light. We'll keep fighting together." In that moment, she knew they could create a future where love eclipsed every whisper of fear. They reached their front door, the sun painting golden rays across their path, illuminating their small sanctuary. Claire paused, taking a deep breath. "Tomorrow," she murmured, "we'll start fresh. No more shadows." As she pushed the door open, warmth flooded over them, and Claire stepped into their home, a world now filled with light, laughter, and endless possibilities. She had faced the darkness and found the strength she never knew she had. But she also understood that each day was a choice to embrace both the light and the shadows, to confront whatever emerged. And that adventure was just beginning. Now, as the final curtain draws on this chapter, remember you don't want to miss a heartbeat of what comes next. Subscribe immediately to the channel so you don't miss the next exclusive stories. Smash the like button now to feed the algorithm, it really helps. Flood the comments section with your reactions and theories about this ending. And for the love of everything good, instantly share this video with at least 5 friends who need to see this conclusion. You need to show your support. Don't wait even one more second.